I also wondering what happens after the COVID-19 crisis. In this video, I would like to point out some challenges, but also some solutions. So stay tuned. Hi, my name is Christian Wurzelbauer. I support the textile service industry with management training, Neuen Textile Service 4.0, and practical hints that you can implement right away. There are some challenges ahead. I used to make a video last year in German, actually, not in English, regarding the COVID-19 crisis. And I made actually not such a bad forecast. Of course, it came different a little bit, but in general, I think it was a good forecast. And I tried now to make also a forecast for the next months and years, at least what trends and what challenges we'll face and what's important for the industry. So stay tuned. And of course, it's just my opinion, and every situation is different, so you have to make up your mind. And I do not think that I have all the wisdom in the world. I'm just one human with experience. The challenges that we are facing in the industry is that on the one hand, the labor cost is rising, especially in the States that I see, but also in Europe and in other parts of the world. You see that especially the labor cost of unskilled labor is rising because the governments feel a pressure to help these parts of the society because they are losing out in the digitalization and in the current environment. There are some reasons for this on a macro level. One reason might be that people who have not or do not earn so much are spending what they get immediately, so it helps the economy, and this is one train of thought that is now capturing the policy in order to push as much money into the economy, and therefore labor costs are rising, and in some cases it's even a bottleneck. Depends on the region, depends on the situation. And then you have higher energy and raw material costs. Of course, we have the Green New Deal, not just in Europe, but now also in America. Yeah, and raw material costs are rising big time in many cases, and therefore the CPI is probably not the best indicator in the costs for the industry. And so this is actually a big challenge. The big challenge is that in many cases the contracts that you have with the customer have clauses regarding the CPI, and in many cases the costs are rising higher than the CPI. And then you have further market consolidation. So there are laundries that will not sustain the current crisis, and they will go out of the market. And then you have also investment banks and so on, and special purpose vehicles, SPACs that want to buy up whole industries. So there's much M&A going on, and the market will consolidate. Of course, you have technological developments, robotics, artificial intelligence, UHF technology, RFID, whatever. So there is much coming up in the next few years, and productivity will increase big time. So right now, the better laundries have about 100 kilograms per operator hour productivity in Europe. And I would assume that productivity in 5 to 10 years could even double. So we'll see some really automated laundries with really low labor cost, and of course more capital investment. But there is much going on regarding robotics. You have artificial intelligence, which will help big time to organize everything. And also UHF technology will keep track of the inventory. And then a mega trend is, of course, financing. So the big corporations, they have right now the privilege to get the money from the Fed, from the EZB or whatever. So you have the big companies that have access to quite cheap financing, which of course furthers also the M&A market. And then you have the small and medium-sized companies that will have reduced access to financing, and you have also quite some danger regarding interest rates. So when inflation kicks in, as it is right now, you have the danger, of course, that interest rates will rise, and this doesn't make financing easier. So it will not become easier, and the question is just how worse it will get. And all this, there is the question, what is the development regarding the prices? And I see that there is quite some pressure regarding the prices in future, because there is some overcapacity right now in the market, and I'm really certain that not every increase in input costs, be it labor costs or materials, will be translated in price increases. So this is actually a big one. So we will face some time a very high challenge regarding the margins in the industry. So this is actually these are the challenges as I see them. If you see them differently, then just comment it, please. YouTube is social media, and we can make a discussion from there if you see it differently. And so what's really important is to have a strategic focus. So this means that you know what are your strengths, what is your market, which customers do you want to serve, which services do you want to provide, which products do you want to sell. So strategic decisions are now very, very important. They do not take much time. They only need a very good assessment of the current situation, of your strengths, but also of the challenges, and then you can make the decisions. And it's really important to make these decisions. That's actually fundamental. And then customer satisfaction. I'm talking much about customer satisfaction on this channel, just because I see that there is quite some potential in the industry there. And customer satisfaction helps, of course, to secure the future, because then you have customers that pay your bills, that do not renegotiate contracts and reduce prices. So customer satisfaction is very, very important. And of course, operational excellence. And operational excellence is also correlated with strategy, because when you focus, for instance, on one segment of the customers, then you reduce complexity in the plant, and you can be more productive, and this helps a lot. But operational excellence, of course, influences also customer satisfaction, because then you have higher quality, and this is a big improvement. And last but not least, it's all about cash flow. So increasing cash flow is actually the name of the game, and you need operational excellence there, productivity, and you need also satisfied customers, because they pay higher prices than if they are not satisfied. And you get also the the bills paid. So a cash flow is important, and this gives you then the ability on the one hand to reduce debt, and to also invest where it's then necessary, and therefore, but cash flow is just a result of a good strategy, a strategic focus, of operational excellence and customer satisfaction. At least that's what I see right now as the most important things. And of course, when you have operational excellence, when you have satisfied customers, you get also satisfied employees. So the satisfaction of employees is actually a function of your processes and how you treat them, of course. But when your employees see that they have that you have a sustainable business, that the customers are satisfied, that the processes are improving, and even that the company makes money, then you get also an improvement there. Yeah, so I think these are the important things from my side. If you see it differently, again, please make a comment. And I already showed this diagram in another video, but I like it so much that I do it again. So there are A measures, A activities that have a high benefit and a low effort. And then you have activities that cost much, and of course then you have activities that have low benefit or low results, and and nobody wants low benefit and low and high cost. I mean, that's the worst thing. And here, if you clarify, for instance, the strategy, this has strategic decisions do not cost much, but they have an enormous impact. And so when you spend 1 day or 2 days in defining the strategy, these days are valuable and you can weigh them with gold. So this is, for instance, an A exercise. Then also lean management, reducing wastes is most of the time A or B. So these are measures that do not cost much money but have quite some benefit. So there are many tasks that you can do that are actually not really expensive, but they are very important. And then you get also the money to invest in new technology if you need it, and in new linen for new customers and whatever. So I would not skip the C activities altogether, but first you need to focus on the quick wins. And I think this is important right now. It's also important now to emphasize, because there are incentives from the government to invest, for instance, in green technology and stuff. And I think it's important to know what is good for yourself, so that you know what's best for your company, not what's best for someone else. And therefore, I want to conclude this. It's important for you to analyze your situation yourself, that you strengthen the cash flow, improve customer satisfaction, and secure the financing. And what I will offer, starting from June, is a sprint, an 8-week sprint. I call it good sleep for entrepreneurs. So it's always good to sleep, and also entrepreneurs should have a good sleep. So in order to reach this objective, which is very reasonable, and you need to have a very fast but comprehensive situation analysis. You need to set goals, you know what to do next. Increase personal effectiveness. There are a few tips where you can do it very fast, and so it's nothing scientific, it's very practical. And also very practical hints to reduce costs and increase cash flow, and also involve employees and increase the motivation there, and increase customer satisfaction. I think that's very important, and also improve financing. Of course, you will not improve financing in 8 weeks and repay all your debt, but you will be able to take the first measures and have concrete goals on how to achieve financial freedom in the next 2 to 3 years. And then some personal issues. I had some experience myself in the last 3 years. I had a personal bankruptcy, and so I had quite some learning, and I think I can give you some advice of what's important for yourself. And then I have 2 bonus topics that I want to discuss, will not discuss right now. And so these are A measures. You can do this actually with next to no investment, and this will help you to restart after the pandemic. And this is actually the objective. So if you're interested, so if you're an entrepreneur and if you're interested, then down in the description is a link to book a strategy session with myself, and then we can see whether we're a good fit, and whether it's the right next step to work together on this sprint, this small project. And then we will see us there. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel and like this video if you liked it, and make comments, and we'll see us in the next one. Bye bye.